Hare Krishna, Parikshit Prabhu, Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hang on a second, Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class from Canto 3, Chapter 2, and Text 19. We're very fortunate to have His Grace Jiva Prabhu from ISKCON, DC, to give a class. Hare Krishna, please accept our humble obeisances. Glory to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Parikshit Prabhu, and dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Śrīla Prabhupada.
It's all yours. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please join us for the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Brajanaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari,
Yamuna Tira
Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja
Bihari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha, Radha Madhava Shri Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Shri, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya
Prabhupada,
Jaya
Jaya
Prabhupada, Jaya
Prabhupada,
Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
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 Gurudev, Jaya
Gurudev,
Jaya Gurudev, Dita Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur,
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol,
Hari
Hari
Bol,
Bol,
Nitai
Nitai
Gaur,
Gaura
Hari
Hari Bol.
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परिवृक्ष शोध शिष्म शिला ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai,
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परिवृक्ष शोध शिष्म शिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय।
Jai,
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव विंद की जय।
Jai,
नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
Jai,
प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
Jai,
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गोश्याम मुकुंद राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
Jai,
अयोध्या धाम वृंदावन धाम की जय।
Jai,
नवदीपापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ
Jai,
धाम की जय।
Jai,
गंगा मैया यमुना मई की जय। पति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। नंद कोटि वैष्णव विंद की जय। समेत भक्त
Jai,
की जय। श्री श्री वैष्णवाचार्य विंद की जय। श्री
Jai,
श्री राधा श्याम सुंदर की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ सुभद्रा बलदेव की जय। श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव की जय। श्री श्री गणताय की जय। ब्रह्म डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। गंतरा श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। निताय गो प्रेमानंदे।
Hari Bol, Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna, dear devotees. We are very grateful that you all joined us today in this class on Srimad Bhagavatam from third canto, chapter 2, verse 19. That's the verse we'll be discussing today, studying today. Please join us for the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayana
Nar-
Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiriyet
Tato Jayam Mudirayet.
Shavatam Swakatha Krishna
Swagatam Swagata Krishna.
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha
Punya Shravana Kirtana.
Hridayantasthoya Bhadrani
Hridayanta Stohyat Bhadrani.
Vidhunoti Suhasatam
Vinunoti Srahit Satam.
Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu
Nasya Praishva Bhadeshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke
Bhagavati Uttam Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavti Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us in the recitation of this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:19. दृष्टा भवद्भिर्ननु राजसूये caidyasya कृष्णं dviṣato siddhiḥ यां योगिनः saṁspṛhayanti samyag yogena tad-virahaṁ saheta. दृष्टा भवद्भिर्ननु राजसूये caidyasya कृष्णं dviṣato siddhiḥ यां योगिनः saṁspṛhayanti samyag yogena tad-virahaṁ saheta. दृष्टा भवद्भिर्ननु राजसूये caidyasya कृष्णं dviṣato siddhiḥ यां योगिनः saṁspṛhayanti samyag yogena tad-virahaṁ saheta.
Dṛṣṭā bhavadbhir manurājasūye caidyasya kṛṣṇaṁ dviṣato siddhiḥ yam yogina saṁspṛhayanti samyag yogena tad-virahaṁ saheta. Hare Krishna.
दृष्टा भवद्भिर्ननु राजसूये चेदस्य कृष्णं दुषितो अपि सिद्धिः यां योगिनः सम्प्रयन्ति सम्यग् योगेन कस्तद्विरहं सहेत। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। दृष्टा भवद्भिर्ननु राजसूये चाद्यस्य कृष्णं द्विष्णतोऽपि सिद्धि यां योगिनः सम्पृश्यन्ति सम्यग् योगेन कस्तद्विरहं सहेत। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Synonyms. Dṛṣṭā, it has been seen. Bhavadbhir, by your good self. Nanu, of course. Rājasūye, in the assembly of the rājasūye sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthir. Caidyasya, of the king of Cedi, Śiśupāla. Kṛṣṇaṁ, unto Krishna. Dviṣato, envying. Api, in spite of. Siddhiḥ, success. Yam, which. Yoginaḥ, the yogis. Saṁspṛhayanti, verily desire. Samyag, fully. Yogena, by the performance of yoga. Kaha, who. Tat, his. Viraham, separation. Saheta, can tolerate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have personally seen how the king of Cedi, Śiśupāla, achieved success in yoga practice, although he hated Lord Kṛṣṇa. Even the actual yogis aspire after such success with great interest by performance of their various practices. Who can tolerate separation from him? Purport. Lord Krishna's causeless mercy was exhibited in the great assembly of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was merciful even to his enemy, the king of Cedi, who always tried to be an envious rival of the Lord. Because it is not possible to be a bona fide rival of the Lord, the king of Cedi was extremely malicious toward Lord Krishna. In this, he was like many other asuras, just as Kamsa and Jarasandha. In the open assembly of the rājasūye sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthir, Śiśupāla insulted Lord Kṛṣṇa and he was finally killed by the Lord. But it was seen by everyone in the assembly that a light flashed out of the body of the king of Cedi and merged into the body of Lord Kṛṣṇa. This means that Cedi Raj achieved the salvation of attaining oneness with the Supreme, which is a perfection most desired by the Jnanis and Yogis and for which they execute their different types of transcendental activities. It is a fact that persons who are trying to understand the supreme truth by their personal endeavors of mental speculation or mystic powers of yoga achieve the same goal as others who are personally killed by the Lord. But both achieve the salvation of merging in the Brahmajyoti rays of the transcendental body of the Lord. The Lord was merciful even to his enemy, and the success of the king of Cedi was observed by everyone who was present in the assembly. Vidur was also present there, and therefore Uddhav referred the incident to his memory. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Srila Prabhupada Pranati to seek blessings from the Acharyas. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna.
So even the enemy was not excluded from Lord's mercy. That's the main essence of today's verse. Right? Krishna's mercy does not excuse our envy, but it can reach beneath our envy and rescue the soul. So he can completely reject the bad qualities and accept us. And that has been identified. That doesn't mean that we should take to becoming envious with the Lord. But what are the glories of the devotees who love the Lord? When even the envious asuras, here Śiśupāla has been referred to as an asura. He was just like Kamsa and Jarasandha. So if Krishna granted liberation to one who hated him, what will he not give to one who lovingly takes shelter of him? So this verse did not end with liberation. One of the important aspects is that we'll be diving deep into. So Uddhava is speaking to Vidur, and he is remembering this specific pastime that both of them had seen together. And so there is a shared experience. And his heart is already overwhelmed by separation from Krishna. So, to be able to explain why that separation feels unbearable, he recalls something they had both witnessed as Maharaj Yudhishthir's rājasūye sacrifice. So, at that particular instance, what had been witnessed was being again remembered by Shukdev Goswami. Oh, in this particular case, Uddhav, and he is identifying this to Vidur, and Shukdev Goswami is also reflecting this back to Parikshit Maharaj, who is fasting until death, right? So the greatest kings, the sages, the brahmanas, the warriors, they were all gathered the rājasūye sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthir at Indraprastha. And at that time, when the time came to choose the best personality for the first worship, Sahadev proposed Lord Kṛṣṇa's name. So again, he said that all of the assembled members would agree that Lord Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the right person. And Yudhishthira was getting ready to worship Lord Kṛṣṇa, but King of Cedi, Śiśupāla, he just could not bear this. Now, when we hear this, it shows like even the envy towards Krishna is fruitful. But then he is also said as a yogi, that his yogic perfection came to, meet the right goal. Yet in the verse, the sacrifice that's been described as, the liberation that is described as merging into Brahman, Sayujya Mukti. So there are 5 kinds of liberations for those who would like to know. Sayujya is merging into Brahman, but that is losing our existence. So in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami very clearly identifies that that is given to demons and is not really the topmost, because we living entities are active by nature. Jivera Swarupoya Krishnena Nityadas. So we are eternal servant of Lord Krishna. And the word dharma, sometimes referred to as religion, is also misinterpreted, because dharma means what is our intrinsic nature, that we are meant to serve, not to master. There's only one master, one Purusha. Everyone else is just his potency. So Lord Krishna is that Purusha. And we last Friday discussed about various kind of incarnations have been described. And then in the conclusion, Shukdev Goswami, Sutta Goswami at Naimisharanya is revealing to the sages during this conversation. Ete cham skalha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. That all these various incarnations and the plenary incarnations, and even including the Shaktavish, they are all various incarnations, they are coming through Shri Daksha Vishnu. I'm paraphrasing and elaborating that particular translation. But you, Lord Kṛṣṇa, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. And he appears millennium after millennium to subdue the enemies of Indra. So again, enemies of Indra refers to those who are in the mode of goodness when they are being tormented by the asuras, by the demonic people. Then Lord appears, परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां dharma संस्थापनार्थाय saṁspṛhayanti yuge yuge. So Lord appears to paritranaya sadhunam, to again to deliver and to benefit the devotees. Well, this verse Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying at Kurukshetra to Arjun. And sometimes acharyas say, yes, all Vasudeva Krishna and others, Vishnu Tattvas are not different, yet at the same time, the difference comes in the pastimes. And so it is Vishnu and Krishna who comes to annihilate the miscreants. Lord Krishna is just engaged in loving devotion exchanges with his devotees. So those loving exchanges with his devotees is what driving him. And he never steps out of Vrindavan. So who steps out of Vrindavan? Not Krishna, though, not the original Krishna, but Vasudeva, an expansion of Krishna. He steps out. Yet at the same time, they are not different. So that's where it comes to achintya bheda bheda tattva, the philosophy of inconceivable potency. So if it is inconceivable, there is no way we can conceive it with our puny intelligence. And we take the words of acharyas as they are, that Lord is present everywhere through his internal potency. And he expands. And so he can be at many places, yet at the same time doesn't have to leave Vrindavan. So here in this case, everyone, how is that identified by Uddhav? That the light, the soul appeared to come out from the body of the King of Cedi, Śiśupāla. It was glowing. So all the assembled members were able to see this glowing, sparkling soul. The size of the soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. Yet light may be very magnanimous. Just like we look at sun, compared to the universe, sun is small, but it lights up the universe. So similarly, we can see that this small soul is lighting up and it goes and merges in Lord Krishna's body. So it enters. Lord and Lord's body are not different. That's why I was hesitating on saying Lord's bodies, but in reality, Lord Kṛṣṇa. And so as this merges, everyone's thinking that, okay, he has attained perfection, sayujya mukti. But we also know from the 4th canto and 7th canto of Śrīmad Bhagavatam that this King of Cedi was none other than, he was cursed when he was the gatekeeper. So Jai Vijay was cursed by the Chaturkumaras, the 4 Kumaras, Sanak, Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara. And so they agreed to take 3 births as demons. Yet at the same time, they prayed to the Lord they should never forget him. So yes, they remembered the Lord, but they remembered in pratikul bhav. Pratikul bhav means in opposing nature. Like here, previously the first birth for Jai Vijay was Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksh. And Hiranyakashipu was constantly meditating on Lord Vishnu as in anger, thinking that Lord Vishnu is his enemy. Even though Prahlad Maharaj tried to remind his father that, my dear Lord, he is friend of all living entities. Why do you envy him? And here, in the second birth, Jai Vijay appeared as Śiśupāla and Dantavakra. And Śiśupāla here in the assembly of Yudhishthira Maharaj, where rājasūye yagya was being performed, and the first marriage was to be offered to Lord Kṛṣṇa. He opposed, and he had this permission, let's just say. When he was born with 4 arms, an eye, and so forth. He was very ugly form. And it was a prophecy that in whoever's arm he would go and would attain a normal features of a baby, that person will be the cause of his death. That person will kill him. And so this is where Lord Kṛṣṇa was visiting his Bua, who happened to be the mother of Śiśupāla, and she handed him Śiśupāla. Immediately, his extra parts fell off, the eye, the extra arms. And so she knew that Kṛṣṇa would kill my son. And when a mother hears or even understands that my nephew would be the cause of my son's death, she becomes very morose. And at the same time, she also knew that my son would have not a good voice, once again, good speech. And so he would be calling Kṛṣṇa by various names. And that's how his fall down would come. So yeah, she requested Kṛṣṇa to allow her son's speech not to affect him. Of course, Lord Kṛṣṇa is transcendental. How can something material can affect him? So Lord Kṛṣṇa simply smiled and he said, yes, I will forgive his first 100 offenses. So if he curses me 100 times, that's okay. But 101st time, that's when I may act. And she was satisfied. She said, okay, this is pretty good safeguard. And sometimes when parents think this way, people with this conceivable potency and limited understanding think that, yes, they are safeguarded. It may not be so. Here, Śiśupāla knew this particular, let's just say, limited freedom that he was provided. And he would call Lord Kṛṣṇa various names at various times, but he would make sure that he would stop before 100, or at 100. So that way he is not impacted. But here his envy is coming out so strong. And we also understand that that's the nature of the conditioned soul, lust and envy. I refers to that lust part, right? When one thinks I am this body, then one becomes associated with the authority, means the various upadhis, the various roles that the body has. Somebody can say, becomes proud of saying, I am an Indian, or I am an American, and I am an Italian. So those are bodily designations, not the soul's designation. Soul has only one designation, Jiva Kṛṣṇa, an eternal servant of Krishna. And here we see that King of Cedi was envious. Envy comes from lust, which is like, this is what belongs to me. So he was thinking that I am the Kshatriya. Krishna is a cowherd boy. How is he appearing as a Kshatriya? And on top of Kshatriya, the great sages, great warriors, even the demigods are present in this assembly. How could it be that Krishna would receive the first worship? Because he was very much satisfied when he entered and saw that Krishna was washing everyone's feet, because that was the service Krishna has taken at rājasūye, that all the sages and all the guests that would come, Krishna would wash their feet and welcome them. During that time, Śiśupāla had no objection. Sometimes we see this kind of attitude. When someone is doing menial service, people feel like, yeah, this is very nice, but not realizing that this is, a Supreme Personality of God. He's Lord Kṛṣṇa himself is performing this. And when it came for the rājasūye sacrifice time, his hidden, which is the inert nature in this birth, again, associated with the body, not with the soul, but associated with the body, that's came up, that sprouted immediately. And in envy, he started calling Krishna various names. Now, Mother Saraswati uses these to sing prayers to Lord Kṛṣṇa. So even though they are saying various words like Naradhama, Mother Saraswati is the pronunciation, the way it comes out, she extended some of these words. Naradhama and Naradhama, they sound same, but one says you are the most fallen of all naras, all men. Other one says all men have fallen in front of you. So, because you are present. So Mother Saraswati is actually causing those words to sing prayers. She's changing the meaning by the way the pronunciations come out. Even though the mindset is to speak these words, but Mother Saraswati is guiding the tongue to sing those prayers. Śiśupāla is speaking those curses one after another. So this is the mindset with Lord Kṛṣṇa. As soon as Śiśupāla reaches 100, Lord Kṛṣṇa warns him, Śiśupāla, stop now. And Śiśupāla becomes more angry at this, more upset that how can Krishna tell me to stop? Because he had forgotten at this moment. He is so much burning in envy. Kamesha krodesha yajoguna samudbhava. Mahashano mahapapa vedyam idam vedinam. So the kamesha krodesha. So from lust arises anger. And this is our dire enemy, Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita. So he continues to speak, and at that time, Lord invokes his Sudarshan Chakra and cuts off the head of King of Cedi. Now, it's also very interesting that many Shastras, they go in further elaboration, that if even a drop of blood would have fallen onto the assembly floor, on the ground where the rājasūye sacrifice was to be performed, it would spoil rājasūye sacrifice. And Lord Krishna made a perfect arrangement that Sudarshan took out the head and went away with the head outside the assembly before it discarded. And the cloth that Śiśupāla was wearing was arranged in such a way that his body fell and the soul came out and merged with Lord Krishna. That cloth completely absorbed all the blood so that not a single drop could touch the ground. When people look at, okay, he attains Sayuja Bhakti, sometimes our vision is looking at just immediate, and the appearance may be deceiving. Because in reality, what has happened? That the soul has entered Lord Krishna and has gone back to Vaikuntha to regain the position before it will come back for the third birth. Well, this is the third birth because the first birth was Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu, second set of birth was Ravana and Kumbhakara, and this time these two gatekeepers appear almost at the same request as Lord Krishna, as Śiśupāla and Dantavakra. They were his cousins. And so they, again, Śiśupāla went back as the gatekeeper to Vaikuntha. So that is Salokya, Samipya. Again, so there are 5 kinds of liberation. Sayuja is merging into Brahman, which is attained by Mayavadis and Brahmanvadis, and the yogis. But we talk about Samipya, means being close to the Lord. Salokya, being on the same planet as the Lord. Sashti, having the same opulences as the Lord. And Sarupya, having the similar form as the Lord. So when we look at in Vaikuntha, as the position of Jay, he's again the gatekeeper and he's getting all those 4 other, and in reality, the service attitude, the true nature, Śiśupāla, the soul is able to attain that. So this is the causeless mercy of the Lord. And Vidura is remembering this and he's sharing with Uddhav. Uddhav is remembering this, share it with Vidura, that we have both seen this, right? So Krishna, he releases Sudarshan to end the offense. And at the same time, he has delivered the very soul who is actually envious of. So what does this verse reveal? It doesn't just end here. It ends with Uddhav's question, who can tolerate separation from such a Lord? And this is the real climax of this verse, my dear devotees, that he is not merely impressed by Lord Krishna's action that he can grant liberation. He is undone by the realization that even someone who hated Krishna was never excluded from his mercy. That's why Lord Krishna's mercy is said to be causeless mercy. So this is how Krishna treats an enemy. That's something we have to understand. So how would he treat his loving devotees? So if a father has many sons, and if he treats with his most unruly sons with so much care and love, with so much mercy, can you imagine how much more lovingly he would treat his loving sons who are obedient to his words and to his instructions, like following him? And today we would like to discuss this through the acronym MERCY, MERCY. So here M is mercy without merit, right? Krishna's compassion originates in his own nature, not in our qualification. And when we look at this particular pastime where Uddhav is discussing with Vidura, and he's making him remember this pastime, is saying that, yes, Krishna's mercy is causeless and there's no merit required. All we need to do is meditate on Lord Krishna, because even though Śiśupāla was meditating on Lord Krishna, even in pratikul, which is unfavorable manner, he was able to attain perfection. And remembrance determines consciousness. So it is, what is important is R. R is to remember Lord Krishna. And that will, E is, even an enemy can be excused. So ME. And Śiśupāla's envy was stopped, but the soul was not abandoned. So Lord Krishna looked beyond the envy of Śiśupāla and decided to give mercy to the soul. And R is remembrance, which determines consciousness. So Śiśupāla remembered Lord Krishna constantly. Even though he remembered Lord Krishna constantly, it was unfavorably. And when we look at devotees, they remember Krishna with love. So what great destination awaits them? That has been described. And Srila Rupa Goswami says that even in Vrajadham, these demons are not able to enter. And it's very interesting that one Acharya says that, and then Acharya comes and says, but Lord Krishna's mercy is so causeless that he even allows someone to enter his Vrajalila. So this would surprise people, like, wait a minute, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami said that the demons cannot enter Vrajalila. And then on top of that, Narottam Das Thakur comes, and then Vishwanath Chakravartipad comes, and they say, well, Lord Krishna's causeless mercy is so causeless, it's like, it's so, Lord is so compassionate that sometimes he even allows the demons to enter his Vrajlila. So this is the C, causeless compassion. It's not a cheap approval, right? Krishna's mercy, it corrects wrongdoing while still seeking the offender's welfare. And now somebody could say, is there an example of a demon who actually entered Lord's wonderful pastime in Vrajadham? So again, yes. And we will be coming, I believe, later on this, and I referred to this verse last Friday as well, that there is this demoness, Putana, who was able to enter Vrajlila. So she appeared as a demoness to kill Lord Krishna, but she became an associate of Yashodamai. Aho bakiyam stanakalakurtam jigham sayapaya yadapya sadhvi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tato anyam kamva dayalum sharanam rajema. So Uddhav is saying, alas, how shall I take shelter of one merciful than he who granted the position of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she was unfaithful, a sadhvi, and she prepared deadly poison, Kalakuta, to be sucked from her breast. So she had come to kill Krishna, but Krishna accepted. Now, sometimes people think in this way, but we also have to reflect back what was the past of Putana. In the previous birth, it is described in the Shastras that Putana was none other than by a girl by the name Ratnamala. She was the younger sister of Bali Maharaj, and Bali Maharaj loved her so much that he considered her to be like his daughter. That's why the Shastras sometimes describe her to be his daughter and at times as his younger sister. So younger sister is loved as if she is the daughter. And when Vamandev appeared on the sacrificial arena at the bank of Narmada, where Bali Maharaj was performing this sacrifice, immediately when Ratnamala looked at Lord Vamandev, she said, oh, her motherly feelings developed in her. And she said, I would like to feed him my milk. So when she felt like that, Lord, immediately when he sees the pure desire of a devotee, he immediately accepts it. He said, so be it, tathastu, in his heart to heart. This is a non-verbal communication. And when she saw later on her brother, caught up in shackle, Varun's robes, the snake's robes, he was bound. She felt so angry, so upset. She said, if this was my son, I would actually feed him poison. And Lord granted her that wish as well. And so she appeared as Putana, and to carry out those desires, she smeared poison and she fed, she provided that herself, in that mood. Lord rejected the poison. He accepted her motherly form. And thus, she was able to become associate of Yashoda Mai. And so here in this case, we have to understand that Lord corrects the wrongdoing while still seeking our welfare. And even in this particular case, we can see his mercy stays causeless. And why is for yearning in separation? So the verse submit is that Uddhav's inability to tolerate separation from the merciful Lord. While everyone else, is looking for liberation, so Uddhav is missing out Lord. He's in a vipralamba bhav, just like the gopis. He's following on their footsteps. And he wants to have association of the Lord. He wants to be in the presence of the Lord. And that is the glory of Uddhav in this particular verse. That he is saying, who can be a separation from him? He wants to see the Lord. And so, my dear devotees, today we are discussing this verse with the understanding that we should all be seeking to engage with the Lord. And Lord is so merciful that he appears in this Kali age in various forms. And the simplest one is chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's very interesting that sometimes people even challenge that. How could he appear in a name form? Lord is inconceivable. He can appear in any form he desires. And this chanting of the holy name, Srila Prabhupada explains, is not a material sound. It is a spiritual sound coming from transcendental world, the spiritual world. And Lord Krishna, his name and he himself are non-different. So we have to understand that Lord's name and Lord's himself is not different. So he has imbued and viewed his name with all his potencies. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam Nama Namino. In Padma Purana it is said, Nama Chintamani Krishna's. So the name of the Lord is Chintamani, is the deliverer of all desires. So these desires should be spiritual desires. Again, we have to make that distinction. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And Lord has imbued all his potencies in his name. Purna Shuddha. It can completely purify the living entities. Nitya Mukta. And deliver us from this material entanglement, from this material conditioning. Abhinatvam nam namino, that Lord's name and Lord himself are non-different. So this verse from Padma Purana reveals this to us. So again, why is yearning in separation? So we have to understand that we have to follow in the footsteps of Uddhav, the gopis, and the instructions of the acharyas, not anukaran, not imitating, but anusharan, taking shelter of those instructions, so that we can attain similar perfection in our very life. So if somebody says, was Uddhav even greater than, was Śiśupāla's envy greater than Krishna's mercy? Our response is simple, no. Krishna's mercy remains greater. Did Krishna approve the offense? No, he did not. He stopped the offense by uplifting the soul, by transcending the soul above the material contamination. What do the yogis desire? Of course, the liberation Śiśupāla received through Krishna's contact. So they're thinking of merging into Brahman. Well, what did Uddhav desire? And that's what we have to follow. He desired Krishna himself. He had desired Lord's association. And so we should be looking at Lord's association, not just to get rid of the various miseries of this material world, but to engage in devotional service. And Lord appears as such a vigraha form as well in the temple. So we should make a point to daily go to the temple and engage in some service. And my Guru Maharaj, he would refer to Krishna Balaram temple. He says, you see the deities on the altar, Krishna Balaram. Krishna is black, Balaram is white. And then you look at the marble floor, and there's black marble and white marble. So the person who's serving Krishna on the altar and the person who's cleaning the floor, they are both engaged in devotional service. And sometimes Krishna may accept the floor cleaner service, janitor service, as greater than the priest service because of the mood and the love and the care that how they are performing those services. And that's what we should be yearning for. So, what is our meditation? My dear devotees, our meditation should be mercy, correcting the wrong yet uplifting the soul. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Parikshit Prabhu. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much for a wonderful lecture. Thank you very, very, very much. Dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. If you have a question, or you have a takeaway you'd like to share, or you have a comment that you want to make, please do so. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Just unmute yourself. Hare Krishna. Okay. So I have a question to step on the basis. It's all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Unless I didn't hear you properly, I think I heard you say that when you made a comparison of somebody who's doing menial service to someone who is serving on the altar, that sometimes even Krishna appreciates the menial service more than a person that's doing pujari work. Can you comment a little bit about the reason behind that? If I'm not correct, I didn't hear it correctly, then please tell me what the correct thing is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lord Krishna is known as Bhav Grahi Janardana. So he accepts the feeling of the soul. And in this regard, this question can be simply answered with a beautiful short story that Srila Prabhupada used to share. Once Devashi Narad, he was, he is our transcendental traveler. And he can easily travel from spiritual universes to material universes and back and forth as he likes. That's the concession he has, that's the freedom he has. And so once he was visiting a temple, and he saw the priest very nicely serving the deities. And he was really happy to say. And the priest saw that, oh, Sage Narad has come. So he welcomed Sage Narad and he said, where are you headed from this? So Sage Narad said, I'm going to Vaikuntha. So the priest was really, glad that Lord, Sage Narad is going to Vaikuntha. And of course, sometimes when we say, okay, are you going to India? Can you bring this? Or are you going to US? Can you bring this? So he also had a desire like that, a spiritual desire. He said, when you go to Vaikuntha, could you please ask the Lord to, when will I return back home? So Sage said, sure. Narad said, I'll ask the Lord when such a wonderful Brahman like you serving on the altar with so much love and devotion, so perfect recitation of mantras, when will you come back? I'm sure, Lord would have a response for you. And so Sage Narad continued his walk. And as he was walking under the banyan tree, he saw a cobbler Mochi, who's making shoes. And the cobbler saw Sage Narad and he immediately called out, oh, my great fortune that I get to see Sage Narad. Such a wonderful personality. And so Sage Narad was immediately impressed by this call out, that this person is paying obeisances to me and glorifying me. So he went to the cobbler. And the cobbler immediately, he blessed him by saying, all fortune to you, dear cobbler. The cobbler says, so my dear Sage Narad, where are you headed? Sage Narad said, I'm headed to Vaikuntha to see Lord Vishnu. So cobbler had the same request. Can you please ask the Lord, when will I come back? So Sage Narad said, yes, sure, why not? So when Sage Narad went to Vaikuntha, he remembered these two personalities who had made a request. So he asked the Lord, my dear Lord, when will the Brahman priest come back to you? Lord responded, after 1,000,000 births. Sage was surprised to hear that response. He was even hesitant to ask the next person's question, not knowing what the response would be. But so he asked nevertheless, because it was a request. He asked, "My dear Lord, when do you think the cobbler would return back to you, would come back to you?" And Lord says, "This is his last birth. After this birth, he would come back." Now Sage Narad is confused. That priest is serving on the altar, he is engaging, his life is to serve you, yacha vigraha form, day and night. While that cobbler is sitting on the street just making shoes and other things, and he would come back in the very next birth, while the priest will take 1,000,000 births before he'd come back. So Lord said, "Just tell them what I am doing right now, and you will have the answer." So Sage Narad, he went back to the temple where the priest was. And the priest said, "Yes, Sage Narad, my great fortune that you have come again. Did you ask my question?" He said, "Yes, I did." "What did the Lord say?" He said, "Well, Lord said that you will come back after 1,000,000 births." Now the priest is little offended by this response. He's like, "I don't believe you. I don't think you went to Vaikuntha. If you did, what was he doing?" Sejnara said, "Actually, this is what the Lord asked me to tell you. He was passing an elephant through the eye of the needle." The priest said, "An eye of the needle? Eye of the needle is so small, an elephant is so big. How can the Lord pass through an elephant through the eye of the needle?" You're just, calling it a prank. He's just saying that, you didn't visit Vaikuntha. You're just saying it like that. So Sri Narad was really surprised by this response from the priest. So he, little disappointed, he walked out, and as he's walking to the cobbler also welcomes him, pays obeisances, and says, "My dear Sejnath, did you get the opportunity to see Lord Narayan?" He said, "Yes, I did. And I did ask the question. And Lord Narayan said that this is your last birth. After this birth, you will return back home, back to God." Now the cobbler started glorifying the Lord. Sage is surprised. He is still uh, contemplating, like, how come he is getting such a great boon? So the cobbler also asked the same question. What was Lord doing when he saw him? Sage Nara said that he was passing an elephant through the eye of the needle. And then the cobbler was in ecstasy. He started glorifying Lord again. And Sage was surprised. He's like, "But elephant is big. How could you imagine that Lord is passing an elephant through the eye of a needle?" So the cobbler said, "See, I am sitting under this banyan tree. And this banyan tree came from a very small seed. And that seed was part of another banyan tree, from which many thousands of banyan trees came out. And that banyan tree was also in a small seed, which came from another banyan tree. And so, if Lord can produce so many millions of banyan trees from a small seed, what's the big deal of passing an elephant through the eye of a needle?" That was realization. Sage Narad understood that this person, the cobbler, has realization, while the priest has knowledge, but has not yet transformed it into realization. By practice, we are supposed to be putting that knowledge into practice to have realization. Yet at that same time, by mercy of the Lord and the devotees, we can get the boon so that the realization can come forth, irrespective of which mode. Because even the priest on the altar is in a mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is also material mode. The cobbler is in a mode of ignorance. That's also material mode. But Lord is in transcendental mode, above the three modes of material nature. So it is not restricted to a specific role or a mode. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Except the last thing, if I can ask a follow-up. The cobbler was in the mode of ignorance. Why do you say that?
From appearance, he appeared to be in mode of
Okay.
ignorance,
Okay.
but his internal mood, because that's how Sage Narad took him as, is a cobbler, mode of ignorance. But in reality, he's a great devotee who's transcendental to the three modes of material nature. So the mood can be transcendental to what appearance we hold. So yes, the appearance may be deceiving.
Thank you very much. Like Jat Bharat. Hare Krishna. Any
You're such a
questions? Yeah.
pure
Sorry.
soul, Prabhu. Means again, you perform this wonderful service with so much humility and so much
Oh,
compassion. I
So my
must say.
Guru Maharaj's mercy. Without him, I'd be nobody. Not a doubt. But thank you on his behalf. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Any
Krishna.
questions? Any other questions or comments? If not, then thank you very much, Prabhu, for coming to give such a nice and very uplifting class with so much advice and, of course, so many pastimes of the Lord also. So, dear devotees, the beginning of the week. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious week. And I'll just say it. I know it's Tuesday that we'll do this, but just to remind everybody, it's Tuesdays at 7 o'clock on Zoom. We're reading Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. So, kindly, I'll give you 24 hours, more than 24 hours ahead of time. Notice you can, in fact, come join this and see the Prabhupada's, what he went through to set up ISKCON. It's very, very eye-opening, and you can learn a lot about what devotion is about by hearing, this. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, again for the class, and thank
Hare
you, devotees, for coming on. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha
Krishna.
kripa
Sindhu
sindhuvevacha
Jayavachya Patita
patitanam pavanebhyo
Yoga
vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.